What's up guys, welcome back to another live trading video. Today I'm looking at USD CHF, and before I jump into the charts and talk about setups, let me just let you know this is real money, real accounts, no demo profits, no fake MT4 stuff or anything like that. If you stick around to the end of this video, you're going to see a real trade start to finish on a regulated US broker. Let's jump in. All right guys, so here we are taking a look at the chart, and I am looking specifically at USD CHF. And I want to break this down here for you. I just entered a buy trade and there's a reasoning behind it. I'm going to go through a little bit of the strategy behind the trades that I take. And hopefully if you stick around, you'll be able to watch how this trade plays out. So first of all, this is a buy trade. So meaning I am looking for this position to go up, ideally for this thing to make me some money. And the idea here is that we came down into a level of support that I had been watching for today. We had a really big run up, by the way, with some recent volatility. The dollar has been incredibly strong, and I've been looking for an opportunity to get in on this pair on a pullback. Today, we did in fact get that, and you can see what we're looking at right now is a retest of this Fibonacci level from the swing low here to the swing high, a retest of the 38.2% retracement. It's a really simple indicator. It basically just, Fibonacci is something that is observed in nature very often, and you'd be surprised it occurs very often in markets as well, just because human nature and emotion is sort of what drives the markets around. So anyways, it pulls back to 38.2 here today, and as we speak, just a few moments ago, I entered into a buy trade of 223,000 units on the long side, and that is a 2.23 lot size for those of you guys who are familiar with lots on Forex brokers. Now, the idea here is we are trending up on the higher time frames. So if you take a look at the 1 hour chart and the 2 hour chart, of course, we have a nice push to the upside with the dollar clearly strengthening very strong against the CHF or the Swiss franc. So it had some higher lows, that sort of thing. From a technical analysis standpoint, this trade to me makes good sense. I'm looking for the recent catalyst, that strong bullish trend, to continue after all the fundamental news, and ideally take out the highs. Now, from a fundamental perspective and a COT data perspective and all those good things, let's take a look at the Edge Finder. The Edge Finder is what we use to observe market trends and things that are occurring in the world that drive the currency market. Of course, when we look at technicals, we use technicals, as I often say on my channel, as our red light, green light, our entries and exits. But then when we actually talk about building a directional bias, we don't do it from just the charts. We do it also from market data. And if we take a look here, you can see the Edge Finder gives the dollar Swiss a buy reading, and it also has a broken down score chart summary. So if we take a look at COT data, we can zoom in on this one here. What you'll see is that from the CFTC, we get a weekly report that tells us what the positioning of large players like hedge funds and small banks and things like that, what that is on particular assets. And when we zoom in on the US dollar specifically, we can see that 78% of those contracts are on the long side of the dollar, which is a huge bias towards smart money buying the dollar. Conversely, if we take a look at the CHF, only 34% roughly are long, whereas a whopping 66% of institutional money is on the short side of the trade. So knowing that is a huge indicator to be not necessarily looking for shorts, but rather looking for longs, as we want to buy the dollar and sell the franc, as indicated as well by this CFTC's commitment of traders data. On top of that, if we take a look at the retail sentiment, what we can notice is that the crowd here is actually very very short. So there's that hint that, okay, well, if the crowd is short, we may want to look to go long. Because if you know that the average retail trader, and we have information on just the average retail trader, we know that they are super short on an asset. It can be a red flag because they tend to unfortunately hold the bag and lose money on trades. So again, this is kind of how we're building our buys. We take all of these things into account. And I want to show you something else. If we take a look at seasonality, this is just a simple indicator looking at month over month throughout the years. How does the dollar Swiss franc tend to do? And what you'll notice is that during the September October and November months, we tend to see a strong rise in the dollar Swiss franc. So knowing that is a useful tool to help gauge our trades, right? This would be an indicator, well, let's be more cautious to sell here and more willing to buy here, right? It's a simple, again, this is why we call it the edge finder. We're looking for slight edges to trade in the markets. Combining them all up gives us a strong bias one way or another on particular assets. Remember, you can get the access to the edge finder down below in the description if that's something of interest to you. And you can use that promo code in the description as well to get access for a discounted rate as a YouTube subscriber. Okay, so here's dollar Swiss. Again, I am in my trade, floating, just barely break even at this point, $60 down. And the idea here is we're looking to trail stops. So my stop loss is just below the 50% retracement. I really want to see this thing rapidly go up, basically, right? We had this big launch. I'm looking for a follow through move very quickly. Otherwise, I am not really willing to hold on to this trade for very long. And I will stop out if we show any more signs of decline, because if this thing sort of just wants to erase all of its progress and just go back down here, I don't want to be holding that bag, right? I want to be in and out of this trade if I need to be in terms of taking a loss. Conversely, if this thing goes up, if we see a rally, I want to try and hold on to it. Meaning if this thing rallies back to the highs and perhaps even breaks out of them, I'm not just going to close my trade. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try and trail my stop loss. And we'll see if that happens in this video. If you don't see it in this video, if this ends up being a loser, you guys can watch one of my other videos where I have trailed stops. But generally speaking, I don't like to use take profits. I like to just take my stop loss and follow market structure and let the market tell me when it's time to get out. So what I'll do now is I'll pause the video, give this some time to play out, and we'll come back soon with an update. Just a quick update, guys. We are back in the office here. It is the next day, and so far, looking pretty good on this entry. You can see where our trade basically got triggered right here, that little blue arrow. If we zoom in, you can see right there, that's the entry point. And you'll notice that we basically just went sideways for a couple hours, but then ultimately here during the London session and opening of the New York session here, we're off to a pretty good start with this pair. We're floating $880 on the position so far. Of course, I have not moved my stop loss yet, so theoretically this thing could come down and take us out for a loss still. What I am looking for before I move stops is I want to give this thing enough room to run to potentially break these highs. On a break of these highs, I will look probably to trail stop loss into profit. I have moved away recently from trailing stops to break even as often, as very, very frequently I do sort of catch trades where they enter into consolidation. And I did a lot of back testing on it and decided to be a little bit more liberal with moving my stop loss into a break even position. So at this current spot, we're up $940 now. So let's see if we can catch a run and perhaps a breakout of the previous high, at which point I will look to secure my stop loss into some form of profit. We'll see if this level can hold. This would be a nice spot to potentially move stops to, but again, we'll have to come back and reevaluate. All right, guys, so we took out the highs and it is now time to secure the trade. Let's take a quick look at the profit. You can see currently floating around $3,000 on the trade, which is, wow, that's actually a crazy good move that we had here to start out the week. It is a new week, by the way. The week just started and the dollar just got strong yet again. And we see actually this is key because we were able to take out basically our point of interest, which was the previous high. So now what we've got is we've got basically a breakout of this key level of resistance. So we kind of had this bit of a triangle or whatever you'd like to call it. I don't get too much into technical patterns per se, but from a basic standpoint, we had sort of an increasing demand and we got the breakout here with some clean follow through. And what I really like too is that if you notice here, we actually broke out, we retested this area that we were watching and rallied from there. So now at this point, the question is, where do we put our stop, right? So we have to trail a stop loss here at this point. That was the plan all along, was basically if we could break through the highs, we would look to secure a profit on this trade. So what I'd plan on doing is, again, we had this huge rally off of this level. So this level becomes my point of interest, right? So with this 3 hours in a row of just pure buying that came into this pair, I really would like to put my stop loss beneath that level. So let's go ahead and size this up a little bit. So again, the initial trade was a $800 risk. So if I'm going to move my stop loss into profit, the goal would then be to probably put it at a point of interest where we don't really want to see price to fail. So if price were to come down like this, right, I would want to give this thing at least a chance, right, at least a chance to hold this zone before rallying, as it's possible that we could retest this area again. Now, if I was being really aggressive with following the stop loss, I could put it here and make an argument for, you know, if price comes underneath here, then we just want to stop out of that. But because this was such a key spot, I am going to trail pretty loosely here. I understand that that does mean I could be leaving a lot of profit on the table, but let's go ahead and just put it just below this key spot. We'll lock in $900 on the trade, so we can't lose on this trade anymore. Actually, let's see if we can tighten this up. What I actually want to do is I want to put it right here. We're going to put it actually right below this zone here. This is kind of our key spot, right, where we broke, we retested, the close is right around here. I don't even want to see price come down through this wick. So let me actually lock it in just a little bit tighter there. So we'll go right there beneath our zone. So we're locking in $1,088 on this trade in the worst case scenario, meaning if this thing were to collapse back the other way without making any moves higher. But again, people will often ask me when they watch my videos, you know, when I have a video, and I've had many of them, where, you know, price comes up like this, I'm floating 3,000, it comes all the way back and does actually tag me out for $1,088. They'll say, well, Nick, you had 3,000. What did you do? You messed it all up. Well, here's the thing, right? If I just took profit every time I saw a good bit of money come into the account, I would actually probably be net negative in my account. My winners, my true profitability in trading does not come from snatching a profit every time it shows up on my screen. My goal is to catch the super rare, awesome moves that happen in the currency market. This is a really great move, don't get me wrong, but I believe that there's that potential for a bigger explosive move. Again, the dollar is really, really red hot right now, and I don't want to sort of just stop out of this thing preemptively, like right here. Like, what if I just said, oh, well, let me just stop out right here, and then it does one of these guys, right? And that's just a normal, healthy pullback. So my goal is to trail slowly enough that I don't get stopped out on a normal pullback. And so I would say that this level being breached or retested, right, if things come chopping around there, totally a normal pullback. What I would say is not necessarily a normal pullback would be if we actually came back all the way down and broke levels of structure that were very strong previously. So there you go. That's how I'm analyzing price. I'm using to my advantage as best I can market structure to try and trail a stop and give this trade room to run. I would, of course, like to see this thing run off into the sunset and run to the moon, but this is what we do. We manage the risk as well as let the trade try to run. I just want to take a quick look at the higher time frames and see what's happened here. So if you take a look at the 4-hour chart, we have also broken this key structure. I mean, this is huge, right? This is a huge breakout off of the 4-hour chart, and it beckons the question, can we truly make the run up to the recent high at 1.0021, just above parity on the dollar against the Swiss franc? Now, this, of course, is another big move that's 135 pips away, which on a pair like dollar Swiss is a massive move because this pair doesn't move that much. So, you know, we'll sit here, we'll continue to be patient, but this is why, you guys, this is why I trail stops slowly. Had I trailed stops quickly earlier, I would have already been stopped out for about break even. So I'm being a bit more conservative with my trailing stops recently, and here's part of the reason why. As this thing breaks up, right, we want to give this thing some room to do a little bit of action before potentially potentially making its run to our ultimate goal, which would be the previous daily high at 1.0050, give or take. So I want to be conservative with this. Of course, there is pros and cons with this. You trail too tight, you get stopped out preemptively, but you can maintain some of your biggest profits that come in. Or if you trail too loose, you can catch massive once in a while moves. But of course, a lot of times you leave some profit on the table. So I choose the latter, but there is no perfect solution. With that said, I'll pause the video. We'll come back once things get moving a little bit more on dollar Swiss. Okay guys, another update on dollar Swiss. Trades still running so hot here. You can actually see that price did come back down, and officially we have a pretty good rejection off of this level here. And now it is time to go ahead and roll stops further into profit. My favorite thing to do and my favorite thing to say as we continue to follow this trade behind market structure. So what we've got here is that we basically saw this market come down here early in the New York session, but massive buying coming in and showing the buyers are still strong here. So what I'd like to do is, if this market does decide to break back down and fail at this level, that's my cue to go ahead and get out and take my profits. So what I'll do is I'll trail my stop loss just above of right around here. So let's go ahead and make sure everything, double checking, making sure everything is good. So again, we're basically saying if price clears the lows here, we're out for a 18.96 profit. We'll click modify, and there we go. We're all set. Now, as we speak, cool thing is we're watching to see if this level can actually break through the highs here. And if we can get a strong close, then again, it's business as usual and we'll continue to trail stops. I've just shared this trade update inside of the group, and I plan on making another one here as I trail this stop further, or as I have just trailed the stop further. I'll do a quick write-up. Remember, you guys can see all the trade alerts shared inside of the Discord. The link is down below in the description, and you can get discounts if you use the subscriber codes that are in the description. So there you go. Beautiful trade so far, floating $3,500, give or take, on the move. And now just a matter of waiting and seeing if I can trail stops, locking in just about $1,900 on the move. Great spot to be in, and I wish every trade was this easy. We'll pause. We'll come back soon. All right, guys, we are all out of the trade, and let's take a look and see how we came out total. So in the end of this trade, we made about $1,800 or $1,900. I can't remember the exact number that we closed out for. Let me double check. Around $1,900 total. But I wanted to say one cool thing about this is if you look at this, we also were able to collect some positive swap for holding this currency pair long, as buying the dollar and selling the Swiss franc, there is actually an interest rate divergence between the two that was pretty profitable. So I was able to actually make some money just holding this trade for the week. $11.79, $12.40, $12.40 again, and $15.25. So total came out to a nice little profit there, just from holding the $1,900 profit, but also from the swaps, we're able to make just around 19 something. So we'll put the total in the amount on the screen as well. But thank you guys for watching. Of course, we did get stopped out here on this break to the downside, and it looks like we got a little bit of rejection there. So I might have actually been made a little foolish looking this morning, but that's okay. Trading is not about being perfect. We caught a nice move. We traded it according to the plan, and now it's time to look for more setups. So rinse and repeat, day in, day out. Thank you guys for watching. Remember, you guys can see all the trade alerts and stuff being shared inside of our Discord channel. So if you go take a look here under the trade alerts section, this is where we are calling out exactly what we're trading. Myself and Frank and Ivan, we share our trades there. So again, link is down below in the description. Thank you guys for watching, and have a great rest of your day. Looks like it's time for your next trading video. Check out the videos here and here for more free trading content that should help you in your trading journey. We try and keep it real here, so make sure to subscribe for more content that is down to earth, realistic Forex trading content. See you in the next video.